as the field rolls off now, Tom, and we're about to get the pace lap underway.
Yeah, to continue running down the grid again, this is set off of the finishing order from race 2 yesterday, so there won't be any major surprises. But you left off at Andy Smedgard and Scott Robertson. That's the 4th row. Then it's the silver Miata and the black RSX of Eric Meadows and Jeremy Boysen will start alongside each other in row 5. Scott Adams in a white, older-bodied Acura Integra will start alongside Patrick Reyes in a black Honda S2000, who had a great battle with Frederick Scott in a mid-90s Mustang. That car is not on the grid, so he won't take the start, which means Brian DeFries will get moved up a spot to 12th, starting alongside Patrick Reyes in that 6th row. Then Dane Bird and Dai Wynn will start alongside each other in a blue CRX and a white Honda Civic. Finally rounding out, looks to be that William McDonald is back out there. That's great to see. We thought the engine was expired, but he's on the grid in the final car, taking to the field in 17.
And he was super competitive yesterday as well, so I'm hoping that if it was a motor issue, it holds out for the rest of the weekend. You know, those FA20s in those BRZs and FRS 86, whatever you want to call them, you know, they're not known for being the strongest motors around, but Pervez Randilia has got one in his car, and it's been one of the more reliable GLTC machines, so hopefully that's the case for McDonald as well. Field heads down, and on a scouting lap like this, Tom, you really want to figure out where are the puddles, where do I not want to be entering turn number 1, because if you're on slicks and you hit that water puddle, you're going to be going for a ride.
Yeah, for sure. So I think those puddles are going to be a big storyline. I'm just looking at the grid, and throughout, there's a couple of storylines. The first one is going to be, what can Luke McGrew do in the black Miata that starts on the outside of the first row? He's the only driver that has been closest, or he is the closest driver to Eric Catil's raw pace. If he can get to the lead early and hold Eric up a little bit, we'll have a race. Todd Cayley got to look at Eric Catil's data in that silver S2000, so he knows where a little bit more speed might be, and he's going to be trying that. The yellow S2000, Andy Smedgard's been begging Ronnie to let him race it once, so that car might come alive. Not to say Ronnie's not driving it as fast as it can go, but Andy Smedgard knows that car inside out, upside down, right side up.
I did just get confirmation from Andy that Ron is driving here in race 3, and I think it's a toss-up on race 4.
Okay, so it'll be Ronnie this time. So the yellow S2000 is the same as we've seen. The blue S2000, Dyson Pham actually sent me a message yesterday on Instagram, and I owe him an apology. We called out that he might have made a mistake that put him further back in the field in race 1. He actually had contact with Jeremy Boysen and spun him out into the access road, so there was a little bit of damage to that car, and one of the wheels was damaged as well. So he's actually on a set, I think, of sticker tires for today. Yes, he's on stickers for today, so that car might be a little quicker. And then again, back towards the back of the field, William McDonald was really competitive, starts at the back, but only has about 16 cars to drive through if he wants to get towards the front.
I'm looking at the racetrack now, and you can see just offline in the S's a few bits of standing water left, and that's a high-speed area. So I think the first couple laps, I think drivers are going to be scrambling to get single file just so they don't have to drive through any of that. But we know that some of these drivers will get a little bit greedy, and they're going to get creative with how they make passes here, Tom. So if you're, oh, you got FPV today.
Look at that.
That's awesome. I love having FPV, and that's our buddy Hunter, who's got the camera, the GRIDLIFE flight bird around the racetrack right now, chasing everybody, and that'll be an epic view to watch all afternoon here today. So our buddy Ed CZ in the pace car, going to peel off here in just a moment. Eric Catil and Luke McGrew up on the front row in a 2.5 Duratec swapped NC MX-5. That car has been not the most reliable thing in the world, but when it has been reliable, it's been very, very fast, Tom. So maybe someone can dethrone 2-for-2 Eric Catil here in race number 3.
Yeah, I think the black MX-5 on the outside of the front row has to lead into turn 1 if he wants to make this race a challenge for the white and red Civic. But Catil's been perfect on the weekend. Track record pole on every race, wins in every race. They're coming up to the green flag for race 3 in GRIDLIFE Touring Cup.
At Nola Motorsports for race number 3, GRIDLIFE Touring Cup, the popular wheel-to-wheel racing series that has taken the grassroots racing scene by storm. And so has Eric Catil this weekend in his 92 Civic Si. Green flag is in the air, and we're racing at Nola Motorsports down the front straightaway, side by side, thundering down to turn number 1.
Catil's already broken away, but Luke McGrew might have a little bit of legs on him. They're going to go side by side into the braking zone. They're on the brakes at the exact same time, and McGrew is going to hold that outside, but this is where some standing water is. Can he do it? Look at the splashes. He does. He keeps the nose there. McGrew is doing exactly what he needs to do to make this a challenge, and Justin Lee takes over that 3rd spot. Now side by side between Andrew Rains and Todd Cayley. Cayley having a terrible start so far.
Yeah, Luke McGrew, did he pull the lead away from Eric Catil? It looked like he was on the inside going through turn number 3. They're still side by side for the top spot. Catil around the outside in the front-wheel drive Civic, a rear-wheel drive Miata, drag racing through the first sector here at Nola Motorsports.
And now in he inherits the inside, but there's some puddles on the right side of the track. McGrew holds the outside, which is now the preferred line into turn 5. Look at all that standing water. The EG splashes. They're still side by side for the entire duration of this race so far. This is incredible. And McGrew outside again. They're still stuck there. Justin Lee up to 3rd, Andrew Rains 4th, Kaylee 5th. Look at that. McGrew still has not cleared him.
He's got him. Luke McGrew to the lead. He's taken the lead away from Eric Catil, who's been dominant this weekend. And who's sitting there in 3rd? Is that Justin Lee? Here he comes in a similar prepped car. Drag racing down the back straightaway. McGrew, Catil, and Lee 1 through 3.
One thing we didn't get to talk about is rewards weight. Eric Catil has an additional 150 pounds bolted into that car, 75 pounds per win. The rest of the cars in the top 3 have no rewards weight in them right now. Sorry, Luke McGrew only has 50. Justin Lee should only have 25. But Catil has a run towards the back of McGrew into turn 13. That MX-5 is so good on the brakes, he's not going to get it done this time. Through the rest of the field, look how close it is for the lead. Andrew Rains is having a good start. He's on some treaded racing tires, so he might actually have an advantage in these conditions in certain sections.
Big splash over the water in the curbing, but he's got to look up the inside now in the final corner. Catil underneath Luke McGrew as they come through turn number 16. McGrew slams through a puddle, and now they're drag racing on the front stretch. Who leads lap number 1? It's a drag race. Civic versus MX-5 down the front straightaway in GLTC. Lap number 1 goes to McGrew.
The power of the Duratec comes alive, and the number 5 car will lead the first lap, so that's the first lap that Eric Catil has not led in competition this entire weekend. He's going to get on the brakes late down into turn 1 and some of the battles further back. But Andrew Rains looking up the inside of Justin Lee. They're going to go side by side in turn 1.
Big splash for Justin Lee up over the water, and right behind him is Tom Cayley, who didn't get a very good start, but for the lead, less than a car length between them as they head through the first sector here, Tom. This is an epic battle. I did not expect the rewards weight to affect Catil this much, but he seems like, I don't say he's struggling, but he's definitely not as fast as he was yesterday.
Well, that's why I love that rewards weight model. So the battle at the front is hot, but also Andrew Rains had a pass completed on Justin Lee until they got to the brakes for turn 3. Lee completed the repass, and now Rains is up in front of Todd Cayley, but Cayley's looking racy in that silver S2000. Hunting back and forth. Look at the torque on that BMW. Gaps him by 2 car lengths coming out of turn 4.
And I said yesterday when we were talking about the data we saw in a Catil's car, he was so much faster in the corners. The problem is it's really tricky to pass here where Catil's car is good. So I thought that if he got into some traffic, he would have trouble getting back to the front. He's still second right now, but the battle for 4th is getting very, very intense.
They're side by side coming into the S's right now. Catil has the inside, which is the strength of his car. They're going to go side by side. No, McGrew shuts the door. They're just off camera right now, so we're watching the battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. But the battle for the lead, look at how close they are.
Here they come. Eric Catil out the outside. McGrew slams the door again as they sweep through the S's. Catil's unable to make the pass in the area where his car is fastest. A good run here down towards turn number 13. Still a car length separating them as they head into the final sector. For 3rd place behind him, Lee now under attack from Rains.
And Rains is going to show the nose. They're side by side at the apex of 13, but Lee carries the momentum around the outside and will recomplete that pass. So this battle for 3rd is not complete at all either. Don't forget race 4, real quick, it's worth noting. Race 4 is an invert in the top 4 to 12 cars, so anybody from Andrew Rains back could inherit the pole position going into race 4. You're shaking your arms.
I'm so excited. This is so fun to watch as they come down the front straightaway, nose to tail. McGrew again stretching the gap. That thing's like a muscle car. It's like his Viper as he heads down the front straightaway. Now 3rd place is settled. Right now it's Justin Lee. Better battles behind him too. There's Scott Robertson with Eric Meadows behind him, Jeremy Poison, and Ronnie Solomon. All having a good scrap for the top 5 positions.
Andrew Rains trying it again. This didn't work last time, but he's going for it one more time. Look at the speed that Lee can carry around the outside of those corners despite the puddles, but then the torque of that BMW powers ahead, and he completes the overlap. But look at the brakes on the MX-5, dives up the inside and takes it back. Lee and Rains are going at it hard, and Todd Cayley is just looking to try to figure out how can I use this to my advantage. Todd Cayley has the most rewards weight next to Eric Catil. He's got 50 and 25 pounds respectively bolted in that car, 75 pounds total.
Great battles all throughout the top 10 right now. Drivers trying to avoid the puddles and keep their tires out of the water and away from hydroplaning. Luke McGrew has been a force to be reckoned with here today after Eric Catil won 2 races yesterday by over 20 seconds. But as soon as he got behind Luke McGrew, he's been unable to recomplete a pass. And I think it's because of where his car makes speed relative to McGrew here, Tom. He's got a lot of work to get this job done.
Yeah, that's exactly what McGrew needed to do.
Oh, they're side by side. Oh, for a moment.
Once again, side by side into the S's, but McGrew just has the ability to close the door on the way into the S's. Catil's car's faster through this section. Look at him hunting around and not losing any.
Here he goes.
He's going to try the overlap, and there's a big puddle on the inside. Oh, he's going to splash for a second. Just clears him in time.
Eric Catil to the race lead, splashing through the puddles. McGrew has lost the top spot, but he's going to try to thunder by again on the front straightaway. Meanwhile, for third place, Justin Lee's got it. Andrew Rains is behind him, as well as Todd Cayley, still putting the pressure on. Battles behind them, Eric Meadows, Jeremy Boysen. That is for, I believe, 7th spot, but onto the front straightaway now. McGrew's going to fire up and throttle down that Duratec 2.5 as he comes to the start-finish line.
And McGrew's lost a little bit of touch. I don't know that he's going to be able to close that gap and get alongside into the brakes for turn 1, but that car is really good on the brakes. He's starting to pick up the draft. How about Scott Robertson really fast, up to 6th from 9th on the grid. He's killing it in his street-driven to the racetrack race car. That's the red Miata going down the front straight there.
Good battle for third. That continues. Catil just ran a 1:56.578. That's the fastest lap of the race so far, and he did it while passing Luke McGrew. Up front, you're going to see the specs off the distance. They continue to battle. For third, it's a three-way fight. For sixth, it's a three-way fight. Battles everywhere in GridLife Touring Cup.
This section of the track is where Luke McGrew will be faster than Eric Catil. The Civic front-wheel drive car doesn't like these really flat, slow corners. Look at how much Luke McGrew's closed up. There's less than a car length between the bumpers, but then we're coming into the Civic's own. These fast, long sweepers, turns 5, 6, and 7, those triple right-handers across the back of this track. The Civic will start to gap just a little bit, which means that Luke McGrew, look at that, it's just grown to already 5 car lengths or so, and it's going to continue to do so. McGrew's got to find some speed back there somewhere.
It's so tricky. I mean, Catil's car is visibly faster through that fast section. I think if McGrew can't get side by side and disrupt that speed, he might have already lost this race, but it was a valiant effort, and it's not over yet. We're only about halfway through this one. The battle for third is continuing behind them, but let's not count out McGrew just yet. They come through the S's, 5 car lengths between them. We'll see if it shrinks to the braking zone.
Did a good job to stick to the back. He only lost maybe a car length or 2 through the S's, but he did lose some space. The battle for third, fourth, and fifth is awesome still. That's Lee, Rains, and Cayley. Cayley is a faster car than Rains, but he can't figure out a way around because that BMW is so fast off the corners. Here comes the BMW on the back of Justin Lee. Can he outbrake him? He's going for it.
Into the braking zone for 13, up the inside. He's got it. Rains to P3, move Justin Lee back to 4th. Big dive for Solomon down into turn 13 underneath Jeremy Boysen. He's on the back of Eric Meadows, and the 212 slams through a puddle as the battles continue mid-pack in GLTC.
So now we're chasing. Andrew Rains has taken over the 3rd spot in that black BMW. The black MX-5 of Justin Lee is 4th now. Todd Cayley in the silver S2000 sweeping over the curbs onto the front straightaway. That is the battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And then about to come into frame is the red MX-5 of Scott Robertson. That's a K24 car. Look at Jeremy Boysen. He's got to run. He's going to take a peek to the outside or the inside of Eric Meadows down the front straightaway.
Todd Cayley's up the inside of, I believe that's Justin Lee down into turn number 1. He's got that pass complete as they head over the curbing. And more battles. There's cars everywhere, all the way back to 9th place. We've got scraps for position.
This is what we've seen pretty consistently. The battle for 4th to 11th yesterday was rowdy. Today it's 3rd through 9th. You call it 10th even. Scott Adams is not totally out of touch. Off in the distance down into turn 3 now.
Sweeping through the first sector. We're about halfway through this race, a little bit beyond that now. We could expect a white flag within 2 or 3 laps. So Eric Catil has gotten the lead away. He ran quicker still, a 1:55.739. Once that car gets in clean air, Tom, it is unstoppable. But it is quite stoppable if he gets buried in traffic. That's what he'll be in race number 4 when we invert the field, a random number between 4th and 12th. So he could have a lot of work ahead of him in the final race of the weekend.
He'll be no better than 4th and maybe as bad as 12th starting race 4 if in fact wins this race. He will also be continuing to weigh 150 pounds extra with that rewards weight, and it's just a visible gap growing between he and the number 5 of Luke McGrew coming towards those S's. Look at Andrew Rains has started to pull away in 3rd place. He's got himself a comfortable gap. And Cayley and Lee, who had exchanged positions down in turn 1, Lee's got the position back. He's up at the 4th in the black MX-5.
Lee has gotten the position back. Todd Cayley now 3 car lengths back on the brakes. He's going to dive here. If he can close just a little bit, 2 car lengths now behind them. Eric Meadows and Jeremy Boysen, they're separated by 4 car lengths, 3 car lengths, 2 car lengths. That RSX so good on the binders as they head into 13. The field stretching back out onto the front straightaway again. Catil leads this lap as well. Only 1 driver has ever swept an entire GLTC weekend, and that was 2019 Road America for Aaron Lichty. So this would be a second time ever occurrence if Catil can wrap up both races today.
I think Jeremy Boysen might have a run back a little further out of this shot, but Cayley also has a run. Look at the draft on that S2000. He's going to go alongside Justin Lee at the start-finish line, and he's got a ton more space down this front straightaway. He completed this pass last time, wasn't able to hold the position for the lap, but he's going to go for it again.
He's got it as they head down into turn number 1. He's re-cleared Lee, and this is exactly how it happened last time, but Justin was able to take the spot back on exit. He's going to do it as Cayley slams into a puddle. They sweep through turn number 2 and 3, and I think Lee might be able to grab that spot back before they head down the backstretch again.
I agree. I think he got in some water and slowed down, so Lee easily just drove right around the outside. I almost thought maybe Cayley had a problem for a minute, but he's back on speed. Behind, Scott Robertson has fallen into the clutches of Eric Meadows and Jeremy Boysen. That's the 3-car train on the left side there, the red Miata of Robertson, the silver MX-5 of Meadows, and then the black RSX of Jeremy Boysen, which is really fast in a straight line. Look at these guys compress at the apex of turn 4, but the power of that little Miata motors up and drives away for a minute. Jeremy Boysen showing the nose, no, going to fall back in line for turn 5.
Yeah, in front of them, Justin Lee has gotten back around Cayley, so they've swapped positions a handful of times already, and they will continue to do that likely in the laps that we have remaining here. Catil sweeping through the S's, McGrew down a couple, about 15, 20 car lengths, but this battle for 6th spot still 3 cars strong as they head towards the S's section. Robertson with that kind of Dodge Charger Daytona style wing on the back of it, and then Eric Meadows with no arrow, and then Boysen with a bullet-shaped RSX.
They're going to spread out just a little bit. Looks like Jeremy Boysen's really quick in the S's. Eric Meadows holding him up a little bit. With no arrow on that car, Boysen's got just enough of a lip to keep the back end of that car planted, but then when they get on the brakes, they close down to the back bumper of the red Miata at the front. That red Miata has no ABS. Scott Robertson, he's got to be on the brakes a little bit sooner, and Meadows and Boysen have completely compressed that battle. Look at him sweeping into turn 15. Up for 3rd. It looks like Cayley's found some pace. He's got around Justin Lee that lap somewhere. We missed that one, and he's charging towards Andrew Rains.
And while all this is happening, the white flag is out at the starter stand. 1 lap remaining here in GLTC race number 3. Eric Catil leads by almost 3 seconds. 1:54.387 was his best lap so far. Now down the front straight, Boysen side by side with Eric Meadows. Going to slam through the puddle on the straightaway at 120 miles an hour, and now up the inside for turn number 1.
Deep on the brakes. Scott Robertson gets a break, but Boysen completes the pass. Cayley is there. He's on the bumper of their Andrew Rains. It's a black BMW going into turn 3, leads the way over the silver S2000, and Cayley really only has a couple corners.
There he goes.
Left, but Andrew Rains washes white, and he just easily drives up the inside.
Not quite. They're going to still stay side by side here as they head to the right-hander and into the corner. Rains is going to grab it back. He's going to stay off of the curbing, out of the puddles, and drag race up out. And 2 rear-wheel drive sports cars of very different designs are racing each other here in GRIDLIFE Touring Cup.
Remember, Andrew Rains is on a treaded race tire. Todd Cayley is on a slick race tire, so that S2000 is quicker through the corners. He's able to hold the outside, but through the water, that's going to be Harry with no tread. He's going to keep pushing the issue. It's not going to work this time. Rains making that BMW very wide, and now that's brought Justin Lee back into the factor.
Yeah, they're going to continue to race each other as we head towards the S's. Look at Lee popping out to driver's right. Not really an opportunity to pass here just yet. He'll have to fall into line as they sweep on through to one of the highest speed sections on the racetrack. For Eric Catil, though, final couple corners for him. He is well out front, and while he had to work harder for it this time, he will come out of turn number 16, and he will go 3 for 3. Eric Catil will win race number 3 here in GLTC. Meanwhile, behind him, Rains, Cayley, and Justin Lee continue to battle for 3rd spot.
Andrew Rains puts all the chips on the brakes into turn 13, and it pays off. He was able to defend from Todd Cayley, who had a little bit of a run, and I think with the power of that BMW, if he doesn't make a mistake in the last couple corners, this is Rains to lose. The black BMW holding up the silver S2000 and the black MX-5. These guys have all held each position once, but Rains tacks her up, dumps her down the front straight, and he's going to hold the position over Todd Cayley. 2 podiums for Andrew Rains.
Nose to tail as they come across the line, about a car length separating each. Rains, Cayley, Justin Lee, then side by side to the line. Boysen and Robertson drag racing. I don't know. I think it's Robertson got it by maybe 6 inches as they come across the line. Timing and scoring has it. Let's see what it says. It says Boysen by 63 thousandths of a second for 6th spot.
I don't know about that. We got to go cut back and see where the transponders are on those cars respectively, because I would give the nod to Scott Robertson as well. We can cut back to that one and see, but that was so close.